when you think about how much you buy a chicken for. Well, not you, obviously, but how much people buy chickens for in the supermarket. Think about how much a box of eggs costs. Think about how much one vet appointment costs. The minute you treat a bird individually, you know, they're not worth what you get for them when you sell them off for ultimately what the farmers raise them for. So it makes absolutely no sense to give them any kind of individual treatment. And unfortunately, birds who get sick in farms are left to die.
Compassionate people are our kind of people, so join us as we explore what it means to live with kindness. Hello everyone and welcome back to Conversations on Compassion. I'm your host Jade.
I'm Aaron.
And today we are very excited to be speaking to Monique, who is the co-founder of Karen's Kind, an animal sanctuary in Bristol. Thank you for joining us, Monique.
Thank you for having me.
So as it's World Vegan Month, why don't you start by telling us why you went vegan and how long you've been vegan?
Okay. So I've been vegan, I think, for just over 7 years. Why I went vegan is just because I absolutely love animals and I wouldn't want to hurt anybody. But the story of how I went vegan is a little bit longer than that. I always knew that I loved animals and therefore didn't want to eat them, but I struggled to really make that connection between what I was eating and the animals. So I had various sort of periods over the years of being vegetarian. I was vegan for a bit. That's where you don't eat eggs or dairy or honey, but you do eat fish. Obviously not animal meat, but fish. And sort of went through loads of different phases trying to find something that made me feel okay. And at one point I was vegetarian and I went to Hong Kong on holiday, and in the back of my mind, I knew I wanted to be vegan. But when I saw the fish outside the restaurants that were in sort of tanks like this, but they weren't deep enough, so the fish were swimming on their sides outside, just ready to be picked by someone to be eaten, to be put out of their misery. And when I saw that, I was like, what am I doing? So the minute I landed back home, I went completely vegan and never looked back.
I didn't know that. For context, I've known Monique for 20 years. That's crazy. And I think that's something people often say about in different countries, like, oh, they treat animals a lot worse. But I actually think it's just more, it's on display, where we hide it in the UK.
I completely agree. And my trip to Hong Kong wasn't the best one because I just couldn't find any food. I wasn't very prepared. Even vegetarian food was hard to come by if you didn't plan in advance back then. But as horrible as it was for me always being hungry that holiday, it showed me what I needed to see to sort of make that final step. So obviously very grateful that I had that experience.
Yeah, makes sense.
Can you tell us how you started rescuing animals?
Yeah, so it was the middle of COVID. We were in a lockdown, and my husband and I were living with my mum actually, and she had at the time quite a big garden, and we thought, why not save some chickens? We've got the space. So we took in 3 ex-commercial chickens from a battery farm. And it started with just those 3, and over the years it just grew and grew and grew. We moved out, we moved into a bigger house. We had the space, but I think once you start taking animals, people know where you are, and people just keep coming to you and coming to you and coming to you. So we got to the point now we're at full capacity, and we still try to help animals beyond the ones that we ourselves rescue. But there's just a never-ending sea of animals that need rescuing, sadly.
And firstly, tell us about those 3 first chickens, because they had the most iconic names, and one of them is like the reason why you do what you do.
Yeah, so the first 3 were called Karen, short for Karen Buck, who's a politician, Margaret Hatcher, sort of Margaret Thatcher, and Theresa May. Theresa May. So they were 3 female politicians. We wanted like strong female names for them, but also to have a bit of a play on the names for them being chickens. And really, really sadly, Theresa May actually died on her second day with us. She was completely emaciated. She must have been really stressed, and sadly sometimes that sort of final journey, the being caught, being round up in the trucks to get them off the farm, can just throw some of the really weak ones over the edge, and unfortunately we just couldn't do anything for her. She was just completely out of it, which was really obviously very sad. But actually, we were down to 2 very quickly, and so within a week, we'd already contacted the charity and said, "Can we have 2 more chickens, please?" We always, had the space for 3 or 4, so let's just do it. So actually, very early on, we had the 4. So the other 2 we called Linda McCartney and Michelle Obama. So Linda and Michelle, and they were a lovely little 4. But sadly, Karen, who our charity is named after, Karen's Kind, she repeatedly had egg issues. So reproductive issues are really, really common in ex-commercial layers. She had a whole egg stuck inside her when she arrived, and it had been there so long that it had kind of bound her insides. She was in an incredible amount of pain. But it took us a week or so to realise that actually what was going on was more than stress, because there was, clearly something seriously wrong with her. And we took her to, I think it was 3 different vets before we found a vet who would actually treat her. Everybody was just saying, put to sleep. The first 2, I think, didn't even identify that there was an egg in there. And actually, the one that treated us, treated Karen, he put his finger up her cloaca and immediately felt the egg. You could see it on the x-ray. It was absolutely huge, but something that obvious had been missed by all the other vets because they're just not used to treating or even looking at chickens. So that was a real stressful time, I think, for us, trying to get Karen the help that she needed, and just going from vet to vet and being told, there's nothing you can do for a chicken, put them to sleep.
And that's because in the farming industry, it's all about profit and they're not seen as individuals, so it's not viable to treat them. Whereas if your dog's ill, there's so many things and they'll try everything.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you think about how much you buy a chicken for, well, not you obviously, but how much people buy chickens for in the supermarket. Think about how much a box of eggs costs. Think about how much one vet appointment costs. The minute you treat a bird individually, they're not worth what you get for them when you sell them off for ultimately what the farmers raise them for. So it makes absolutely no sense to give them any kind of individual treatment. And unfortunately, birds who get sick in farms are left to die without any help.
It's actually horrific, and something that until you rescued your chickens, I had no idea that it was that bad, and that there was just no veterinary, obviously the killing part at the end is bad, but knowing that there's no veterinary support, and how many chickens are there like Karen that are just in that individual kind of pain, or with loads of other issues, and just no one notices, and they just suffer their whole lives.
I think it's it's one of the things for me that knowing that Karen had those issues when she was on the farm, and she had just been left, and Terry must have had, Theresa May must have had the same sort of things going on, but not been seen, and knowing that they were just left untreated makes me very sad, but is also why we have started to help with chicken education outside of the chickens that we rescue ourselves, and help others to spot the signs of pain, for example, which in chickens can be I guess that they show pain in different ways. They're also prey species, so they tend to hide it a lot better. So there's little subtle things that actually, once you know what you're looking for, aren't really very subtle. But we're trying to sort of educate chicken keepers, sanctuaries as well, in spotting those things, so that those birds can get treatment. So turkeys and chickens, and our vet who supports us also helps ducks as well. But we've actually never treated any ducks on a Karen's Kind visit. But that's why I say birds. Because they've got quite. They're obviously very different from each other, but anatomically, they can be treated by poultry specialists.
That makes sense. And when I was doing research for this episode, I was going to ask you guys if you know, but you've hopefully both read the notes, so you will. But I was shocked at how many chickens are killed. So it's over 1.1 billion chickens every year in the UK alone. And I think the biggest thing that's opened my eyes since you've had your chickens, and I guess I grew up with my granddad having chickens, so I knew it to some degree, but not as much as since you've had yours, is how much each of them are individuals and how different their personalities are. Because you often talk about them as like, not you, but others will say, oh, chickens as a group. Like, and you think with dogs, if you just said, oh, dogs are like this, like, dogs are so different from each other. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the quirks and individual personalities of your girls?
I'd love to. And I will first start by saying, actually, when you have a flock of chickens, they're not just sort of chickening around individually. They all have their own hierarchy within the flock. We're actually at the moment really fortunate to have quite a flat hierarchy. You typically have like a top hen in a group of girls, and you'll have a bottom hen, you'll have everything in the middle, and they within themselves sort of establish who gets first access to the food, for example. Is someone at the top will get access before someone at the bottom. So they're all individuals, and that individuality actually plays into how they establish themselves as a group. I think that's quite similar actually in to a lot of human situations where I know we're all a bit more polite than holding someone back from the food, but you do get those natural sort of the louder person in the group, and the person like my husband who will, if you're sharing food, he's straight in. He's not polite at all. He's just straight in for the food, and you get that kind of dynamic in any sort of social group with humans as well. So there's definitely the parallels that you can draw between them in that sort of sense, that they exist as individuals, but they also have roles within their own sort of mini society. But we've got chickens who are bossy. We've got chickens who absolutely hate humans. We've got chickens who, I've got one that at the moment, Daisy, who will always be at my feet when I'm in the run. If I'm cleaning, she'll always stand sort of right by me. That's just how, I guess, she wants to hang out with me, which is a real honour. And we've got other chickens who see me coming and a mile off, they're like, unless you've got treats in your hand, I'm not coming near you. And we sort of encourage everybody to, do what they feel comfortable doing. We've got some chickens who love kale, some chickens who will see me with kale in my hand and look at me absolutely disgusted. We've got we had a chicken, I mentioned her before, Michelle, who despised raspberries. She would take them from you and then spit them out and just leave them on the floor. It was sort of like a protest of why have you bought me raspberries. So they've got their own likes and dislikes, even food wise, which is something that I always find interesting when I'm having conversations with people, and they'll say, oh, chickens will eat anything, won't they? And a hungry chicken will eat anything, yes, but if they're well fed, and actually you're supplementing a healthy diet, then they will be picky. They'll like what they like and dislike what they dislike. So we've got some very, very fussy girls at home, but it's nice that they can be. Lots of sort of different traits that I guess a personality and beyond. They're all individual and all have their own things going on.
Love that.
Can you explain to us the different types of chicken and what their lives are like in the meat and egg industries?
Yeah, so we typically have only taken ex-commercial egg layers from farms. We also have ended up over the years taking unwanted pets as well, unwanted sort of pet chickens, which is really sad. We've never taken chickens from the meat industry. I mean, there's two reasons for that. The first one is they don't really come out. I mean, you know, they're born.
Is it 6 weeks there?
Yeah, I think it's. I don't know the exact number, but it's a ridiculously low number. They're just babies when they're killed, and they don't come out of the farm alive. So we're not able to rescue them, sadly. There are the occasional chickens that come out of the farms by all sorts of means. I mean, you've probably seen at some point on the news there'll be a lorry carrying chickens that's crashed on the motorway, and they're spewed out all over the road, and lots of sanctuaries will intervene to help and get those chickens to safety. So on a Karen's Kind sanctuary visit that we've done before, we have visited meat birds. I say meat birds, it's really sad that to have to say that that's where they came from. But they, unfortunately, the way that they have been selectively bred means that they put on weight at a really horrific rate, because they're bred to get as fat as possible, as soon as possible, so that the farmer doesn't have to keep them as much time before they then sell them for meat. So because of that selective breeding, it's really, really difficult to manage their diets if you know, you do manage to rescue them.
Because they're like starving all the time.
They're starving all the time. If you feed them what they want to eat, they get overweight and they collapse because their legs aren't built to bear that kind of weight. So it's really, really difficult to get that optimum balance. And it's not something that we've ever done at Karen's Kind. We've seen sanctuaries do it, but you know, it's almost like they're trapped in these bodies, and it's really sad. And it's one thing that they've managed to get out the farm, but then what you don't want is them continually suffering and being hungry because of the way that humans have bred them, which is, you know, it's horrific. Egg layers, they also sadly have a horrible fate from selective breeding, because they have been bred over hundreds of years to maximise egg production. So whereas in the wild, which was a very long time ago, they're descended from jungle fowl, their wild ancestors would lay sort of 3 eggs at a time every few months, and they
like
would
a period for a woman, a little bit more.
Yes, and it would make sense for those wild birds to, you know, sit on 3 eggs at one time. It doesn't make sense for them to lay an egg a day. They haven't been designed to lay an egg a day, but they've been selectively bred to do so. And of course, in selective breeding, they pick the traits they want. So they've just picked egg production, and the rest of their bodies can't keep up with the level of eggs that they make. So sadly, they get reproductive issues, usually cancer. And I think the stat is something ridiculous, like 33% of all ex-commercial chickens will develop cancer within, I think it's 2 years.
Wow, that's huge.
You know, the chance of them getting a reproductive cancer is really, really high. And that's because of the selective breeding. So even when we do rescue them, it takes a lot of careful management to make sure that, I mean, you can't always prevent cancers, but you can notice when they're happening, or do things to try and extend life or delay cancers setting in or growing, or you know, whatever it is. So it's a really sad fate for the meat birds and the egg birds, yeah, sadly, that's what humans have bred them like.
And I think people often say, like, oh, they just would lay the eggs anyway, so what's the harm? And again, until you had your chickens, I didn't know how much like human intervention had gone into kind of selective breeding them, so that they're laying these eggs at, like, you know, sometimes in factory farms multiple times a day. And just like, as a woman, so sorry, Erin, imagine having to have your period every day.
Yeah.
Like, it's not natural. This isn't their natural body. They've been bred that way. And it's incredibly like traumatic on their little bodies.
Yeah, and I think some people just imagine that the egg just pops out, and it doesn't for every chicken. Actually, for some chickens, it can be really painful. I've heard some of my girls straining when they're trying to get eggs out. It could be for various reasons. There could be other things going on that makes it painful, or it could just be a really big egg that, you know, they're not. Again, you know, egg size has been genetically bred into them, and they're not meant to lay eggs that big. So there's just all sorts of things that come with eggs, and I do feel like, yes, the way we've genetically engineered them, yes, they now do, or you know, selectively bred them, yes, they now do lay an egg a day, but that doesn't mean that egg is okay, and it doesn't mean that egg doesn't have a lot of pain or discomfort behind it.
Yeah, for sure. So obviously you have lots of other animals, but you're definitely a chicken expert. So before we move on to the other animals, is there anything else you would like people to know about chickens and why they shouldn't eat them?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. Please don't eat them, because they think and feel, and you know, I didn't think that they would be the way they are, and apparently they have the cognitive ability of a human toddler, which I can absolutely see in my chickens. And so the amount of suffering that they go through is just not worth it. For meat, for eggs, there's loads of other things you can eat. Like, I promise you, hundreds of things that you can eat instead. And just think about that chicken and what they went through and who their friends were, because they had friends. I'm sure they did. And also from a sort of charity perspective, we started with animals that came from big factory farms. There's also, sadly, people breeding chickens in their back gardens to have egg supplies, and people, I think, make out that that's better because they know where the eggs have come from, and you know, this chicken didn't suffer. But actually, going back to the selective breeding, they still do suffer. It's in the same way that you know, a pug, for example, with a short snout has breathing difficulties. Just because they haven't been bred in a puppy farm doesn't mean they're not unhappy. Doesn't mean they're not living with problems. And the other thing is, when an egg hatches, there's a 50% chance it's going to be a boy. And what do you do with the boys? And unfortunately, people just dump them. They just dump them. You can't keep too many boys with girls, because they get overmated. There's aggression. They'll fight each other. So people end up with these boys, and just there's nowhere for them to go. And
can you speak on what happens to the boys in a commercial kind of industry?
I mean, they're in the egg laying industry. They're killed on day one.
Macerated alive.
Is it as soon as they hatch and they set the sex?
So I mean, apparently it takes years to train as a sexer. So you can they sex them and literally throw the boys in the bin, gas them, macerate them. You know, however that particular farm is dealing with them. Some farms actually in the UK have a sort of genetic variation that they breed where the boys hatch a different colour. So it's really easy for them to just toss them.
Even though it would all still be horrific, I thought you were going to say to try and eliminate boys, but no, just to identify boys so that they can kill them easier. You can. The science doesn't allow you to
just know whether they're a boy or a girl before they hatch. So they hatch, and that's what happens to them. They're taken away from their mums. They don't have mums, like, you know, the mother chicken wants to raise her babies, and
you've seen that recently.
I have,
your mum chicken.
Absolutely magical. Her name's Magic. She was a mum that came to us. Her chicks were hatched by accident, and were getting attacked in their flock. And so we got a call saying, can you take them, because they're not safe here. So we took them on, and we've watched Magic raise her babies for a few months. And when she was ready, which was a long time, she sort of let them sort of be on their own. But they were, you know, this big and still sleeping under her. I don't know how they all fit under her, to be honest. But she was a really good mum, and they they absolutely felt safe with her. And chickens, of course, in farms don't get that. Which is really sad. So sorry, that was a really long. Anything else to say? I could talk about chickens all day, all day. How long have you got?
When they hatch as well, I think people would think, you know, like when a baby's born, a human baby, it's not very aware or conscious of things going on. But I've seen when chicks have hatched, they're actually like, before they're put into like a macerator or gassed, they're very aware, like it looks like they know what's going on as soon as they hatch.
Yeah. As soon as they hatch, they feel fear. They
and
feel pain. They feel. And you can see it. You can see it. It's horrible.
And I don't know about you guys, I think it was the case, but for me, when I was like kind of going vegetarian, vegan on that journey, it was, I'll be everything but us, like, you know, I'll be vegetarian, but I'll still eat chicken sometimes. And it's kind of, I think that's seen as like the not so bad meat to eat for most people. Were you the same?
Yeah, I was saying to Jade the other day, even when I would buy dog food, I would think, I can't buy beef, I can't buy fish. It was like fish or chicken.
Erin and I used to do that.
Because you would think fish, the chicken or the fish would be the least intelligent, the least that would suffer.
I used to do that. And I was exactly the same. Would only feed my cats chicken or fish. And then we got the chickens. I was already vegan, but I still hadn't transitioned the cats. And then they were my mum's cats, but then we had to obviously stop feeding chicken because we were like, they're right there in our garden, and we sort of made that connection. But we have cats at Karen's Kind now, and they eat vegan.
Is it Benevo they have?
Yes, the kibble, and they absolutely love it. They really, really do. That's
like a huge misconception. I think that you can't feed like dogs vegan food, and all of our dogs here eat vegan and love vegan food, and they're healthy. Like my dog Kitty's been on vegan food since she was born, and she's 12 now. She's thriving. I think people don't know that you can do that. You absolutely can.
Yeah, absolutely.
Amazing. Right, are you ready to move on from chickens?
If we have to.
Rabbits are often seen as easy, low-maintenance pets, which is a huge misconception. Can you tell us about your experience with rescue rabbits?
Yeah, I mean, it is a huge misconception. We very quickly found that if our rabbits had any problems or were poorly in any way, our local vet, as good as kind as they are in trying, didn't really know what to do. And actually we had to seek out exotic vets. And our sort of closest vet that has an exotic vet that can deal with rabbits appropriately is about a 40-minute drive away. And they get really stressed in the car. So it was a really quick learning curve, a steep learning curve for us, where we thought rabbits, you know, loads of people have rabbits, this will be way easier than having chickens. And actually it's not, because most vets are used to treating cats and dogs, and even rabbits are seen as exotic. So
I didn't know that. That's really interesting.
And there's lots of things that we have learnt since having rabbits, which we didn't know before. Things like, when they're a bonded group, so if you're keeping rabbits together, you should never split that bonded group. So if one needs to go to the vet, you're meant to take all of them.
Oh, like, so not even temporarily, they should just be together all the time.
Yes, because you can break that bond, you can break that dynamic that they have with each other, and then they, you know, come back and fight with each other. I think it's rare, but it's possible. And actually, the people that the charity that we rescued our rabbits with are the ones that told us that, and I just couldn't believe it, because you know, I'll admit we used to take one rabbit at a time, and so it's there's always things to learn, I think, and access to that information is not as easy to come by as it is with mainstream pets.
And I mean, you can just go, I think the thing is though, I would say rabbits are mainstream pets in terms of how frequently they're purchased. Like, they're seen almost like as a starter pet. Like, if your kid wants a dog,
Rabbits,
you're like,
guinea pigs, hamsters,
yeah, you can go and buy them for £20. And then I think one of the big things is we've spoken about this probably with both of you before, but one of the biggest regrets of my life is my childhood rabbit and just how he lived in a hutch. And I just look back and I'm like, God, that's awful. But you know, there just wasn't that information at the time of how wrong that was. And looking at the kind of setup your rabbits have now is just you know, they do require so much more space than a hutch. Like, they're very intelligent, social beings, and to confine them in basically a cell is just awful.
It's prison. I think so I've got a bit of a controversial view, I think, on some of these things, where like any enclosure you have is still some kind of prison, because they can't, you know, they're so far from their wild ancestors and what was natural for them. So unfortunately, any animal that you have to keep in a cage or a run is in some level of prison. The best thing you can do for them is provide enrichment, provide them proper diets, provide them with proper vet care when they need it. But really, I think people should just stop breeding these animals, because it's just not right. It's really selfish.
It really is. Like, they don't need to be. Well, even if everyone wanted to adopt a pet tomorrow, there's still too many animals in the world. So stop it. So there are a lot of misconceptions about pigs, like that they're dirty or they're not intelligent. But when we were doing research for this episode, Erin found that pigs are actually the 5th most intelligent animal in the world. And I've definitely seen that in action with your 2 pigs, Luna and Ray, especially when compared to our dogs, who are not maybe the brightest. So can you tell us a little bit about Luna and Ray?
Yeah, so Luna and Ray came from a local petting zoo. They were bred for what they were calling pizza, prosecco and piglet cuddling nights. So really cute little piglets, are apparently very fun to basically play with whilst you're having sort of your entertainment for the evening. But of course they don't stay as tiny, cute little piglets forever. So this petting zoo, they either send them for slaughter or rehome them once they're no longer tiny and cute. Or, in the instance of Luna and Ray, they were actually surplus piglets. They had more piglets than they needed for these pizza, prosecco and piglet cuddling nights, and they just wanted them gone, because keeping them alive comes at a cost, and they weren't willing to pay that. So they do try to get them rehomed. If they can't, they send them for slaughter. So we said, we'll take 2 piglets. We had no idea what we were doing, but we quickly learned we had to. And Luna and Ray are sisters. They are so different from each other. Luna is crazy. She's a crazy girl. She's excitable. She's just really happy all the time. She's just crazy. She's bonkers. And Ray is much more mellow. Much more calm, much more sort of, she kind of comes across as really in control of herself. She's much better at waiting patiently for treats, and kind of like, if you have more than one dog and you see the sort of the difference between them, that's how I feel with Luna and Ray. And they learnt their names really quickly, really quickly. They know their names, and they have also been taught to sit on command for treats. And they're clever. They won't do it if you don't have a treat in your hand.
Yeah. And your dogs don't even know how to sit yet, do they? Or not all of them?
we've got 4 dogs. 3 of them can do sit.
Okay.
One of them, Betty, she can do 12.
That's good. We'll take it.
We'll take it. Yeah. And it took her a lot longer to learn her name. That's for sure. Yeah.
And like, your pigs are just so lovely and just chilled, and I feel like they're a lot more easygoing than the dogs. Like,
yeah, I think people can find them a bit scary because they're so big, and actually sometimes when they get excited they do jump up, which is our fault as humans for not training them a little bit better. They do jump up with excitement, but they never want to hurt anyone. They are very sweet-natured, just a bit excited, like dogs can get. And they also have their likes and dislikes. So people say that pigs will eat anything. Again, not well-fed pigs. My pigs will turn their nose up at plenty of things. Plenty. Like, if you offer them a tangerine or something.
Love that.
No. Tomatoes. Ray will eat them. Luna's like, no, thank you.
Interesting. I feel like I tried to give them a herb last time we were there, and
Yes,
they
no,
were
thank
not.
you.
No,
thank you.
no,
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Love it.
You've also rescued and fostered some sheep. Can you tell us their stories?
Yeah, so I mean, I've got to say we specialise in chickens. So we've got the pigs there that we were fortunate enough to be able to rescue, but they take up a lot of space. And we've had the rabbits for a while, but more recently we've really been specialising in chickens. But there are the odd occasions where we'll get a call and we'll have capacity, and if this animal doesn't come to us, they're probably going to be killed, and we'll accept them. And so the sheep that we've had in the past have all been from those situations where they've been really desperate. So we took in 2 lambs in May 24. One was an orphan and one was a triplet. And someone had rescued them from a farmer, but she absolutely could not keep them, and was almost going to have to send them away if she couldn't find anybody to take them. So when we got the request in, we thought, we'll give it a go. We'll try and give them a home for life. If we can raise them through this sort of risky period without their mum, we'll try and give them a home for life, but let's just take each day as it comes. And that those sheep were Bala and Bailey. Bala was a wether, so a boy who's had been essentially castrated by string. It's really horrible. So they tie it on and wait for the balls to drop off.
Oh my god.
Very horrible, yeah. And Bailey a girl. And Bala is the most boisterous, grumpy, but playful and loving boy I've ever met. So if I was out cleaning the rabbits and he was sort of walking around nearby, he'd come and sort of headbutt me, like give me attention. And if I didn't, he'd start getting really angry and like trying to take the bucket out of my hand and just really grumpy. He learnt to open our greenhouse door, so it's got like a little latch on it that you have to lift and sort of turn over. And he learnt to do it with his nose. And so he would open the latch, separate the doors with his nose, and then invite Bailey to come in behind him, and they would just eat all our stuff in the greenhouse. And I was getting really angry at Henry because I said, Henry, you need to stop leaving the greenhouse door open. They've had all my plants and it's all your fault. And one day I was looking out the window and I saw Bala doing it.
That's incredible.
I never apologised to Henry, but
he doesn't know to this day.
so we had to put a rubber band around it to stop him doing that. Yeah. And people think sheep are really dumb, and he learnt to do that, and he was getting away with it.
Did he let the rabbits out as well?
That was Bailey. Oh. Bailey absolutely loves small animals. Oh. Like she loves, like you would catch her with pigeons sitting on her back or magpies. She just like hang out with them. We did actually get a rat problem because Bailey would leave basically eat really messily. All the food would be on the floor and the rats would come for it. And she'd just be there sharing her food, like
That's
no
so
problem.
Cute.
She just loves small animals. So she did break the rabbits out several times. And she just wanted to be friends with them.
That's so sweet.
Just loves small animals. So Bailey and Bala did eventually outgrow our space that we have. We don't have loads of pasture. And they were rehomed to a wonderful lady who has a pet sheep flock. And she rescues all sorts of sheep from various situations. And we go back and visit them as often as we can. So it's a little while away from us, but we visit when we can. And Bailey and Bala do still remember us. They come up to us, they say hello. But it doesn't take them long to just be like, okay, we're going to get back to sheeping now.
Yeah.
And go back with their friends, which is lovely to see.
That's really nice. So you're now 4, but you have had 5 dogs, are also rescued from the meat trade, but just from another country. And having meat trade rescues myself, I know how people can react when you tell them that. So what is the differences that you've experienced as you have animals rescued from the UK meat trade, but also abroad? How differently do people react?
People act like we're heroes when they find out about our dogs.
Yeah.
Wow, incredible what you've done. This is amazing. Can't believe people would do that to them. How horrible. Mm-hmm. When the sort of same conversation comes up, but it's a chicken or a pig, we just don't get that same level of interest or praise. Not that we do it for praise, but it's really sad to see the difference.
Yeah.
and also there's some real subconscious bias or racism, you could call it. You know, the words that are used around, can't believe people eat dogs, like it's disgusting. Some really foul language that's used around around the dogs having come out of a different country, and I try not to say where they've come from, but you know, people sort of inherently guess or whatever. But of course, in those countries, people eat dogs. In this country, people eat cows and pigs and sheep and chickens. And having had dogs and cats, and also all those UK farm animals that we've rescued, there's no difference. There's absolutely no difference in the way that they think, feel, experience life. And so it's really upsetting when people don't make those comparisons. It's almost like this is completely different. Eating dogs is not okay, but eating pigs is. And to me, that's really upsetting.
100%. I think I've had a lot of those conversations. We fostered a lamb before, and she would sleep in the bed with my dogs. Like, she was just one with the dogs. And so I love chatting to people on walks, and they'll say, where did your dog come from? And I'll say, the meat trade. And they'll always say, that's so horrific. How do they eat dogs over there? And so I'll say, oh, are you vegan? And they'll always look at you like, no. And then I'm like, oh, right. And then I will just go into kind of explain to them, like, you know, we've fostered farmed animals. I've got lots of nieces and nephews who are farmed animals, and it doesn't matter what species it is. It's all about your social conditioning of which animals are friends and which are food. And we just happen to live in a country where dogs are seen as friends and other animals aren't. But that doesn't dictate their level of, like you said, pain, fear, joy, kind of anything. So,
and across species as well, we see a lot. We mentioned Bailey, who absolutely loved rabbits. Her and Millie, one of the rabbits, Bailey and Millie were just like a inseparable pair. Even when we stopped her being able to break her out, she would look at her, through the run barrier. One of our dogs, Bean, just absolutely loves everyone.
He's the happiest boy.
He loved hanging out with the sheep. He loves the pigs. He loves the chickens. The chickens are not quite sure of him because he's too excitable. But across the species, they would interact and have their own bonds with each other. And I think, when you see a pig who's friends with a dog and know that in this country, one of them is seen as food and one of them is seen as a friend, it's really sad to look at that and know what life would have been like for the pig if they hadn't come to us.
Have you guys seen those memes where it'll be like a little picture of a pig like sticking out of a slaughterhouse truck and then a dog out of the car window, and it's like, oh, where are you going for a day out? And the pig, that literally makes me cry every time. It's just they're so similar, but the difference in how they're perceived is just, and therefore treated, is just awful. And another interview that I'm not sure if it'll be going up before or after this one, but we're chatting to Alex, who's an animal activist, and it's almost the flip side of this interview, which is showing the individual lucky animals that have been rescued. And Alex does vigils outside slaughterhouses and live streams, and we've both watched them, and it's horrific just seeing that fear. They know what's about to happen to them, they can sense it, and it's heartbreaking, and there's just not enough. Well, all of them deserve to be rescued the way yours have.
They do. That look in their eye, like even Bala, when the vet came, the look in his eye of fear, I could see it. And I was really sad because he was about to have a vaccine. But imagine, for the sheep who aren't just about to have a vaccine, and it's a really horrible thing that they most definitely feel.
100%.
What would you like people to know about the animals in your family who almost ended up on someone's plate and their relationships with each other?
I'd like people to know that they're friends. Animals that end up on people's plates had mothers, had friends, had family, who I'm pretty sure will either notice they're gone or not be around anymore themselves. It's really sad.
Love that. And I also love, I've just noticed you're wearing the necklace.
Yeah.
So Monique was one of my bridesmaids, and I got all my bridesmaids little necklaces of their favourite animals, and yours must have been a pig at the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll have to get you a new one with a chicken on.
Pre-chicken, yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, so before we go, we ask all of our guests the same question. If you had one meal to turn a meat eater vegan, what would you cook them?
Do I have to cook it? Because I
No.
want to say my mum's curry.
Oh, yeah. Which curry?
I mean, anything. Any of my mum's curries, but a good selection of her curry. She makes a really good aubergine, like a smoked aubergine and pea curry, and a really good sort of kidney bean curry. I mean, she makes loads of good things, but all vegetable based. She doesn't use any fake meats or anything. It's all about the flavour and the veg.
Nice.
And
But what
it's
if you
delicious.
had to cook it?
I'd be ringing her up for the recipe. I've done it before, and I never write it down. Like every time I want to make a dish of hers, I ring her, and like even if it's one that I've made 10 times before, I'll ring her again.
That's so nice.
And she'll tell me whilst I do it.
I bet she loves that.
Yeah.
I'm the same. I have no idea how to make my mum's chili, and that's my favourite food in the world. I know kind of the rough, but I don't know all the little. I think she doesn't like to tell me the little secret bits because she wants to keep it to herself.
Does she put chocolate in it, do you think?
No, she
Yeah,
doesn't.
Okay.
I've seen people do that. They put chocolate and then is it like a cinnamon stick?
I haven't seen that. I just know about the chocolate.
Yeah, that's
It's a
weird to
small bit,
me.
isn't it? Because it's the bitterness of the chocolate
Yeah,
or
the
something.
dark
Yeah,
chocolate.
it adds to the flavour.
Yeah. Your mum's breakfast is immaculate as well.
It is. She's a good cook. She's
a
a really
good
good
cook.
cook, and it's always been vegan. She's actually vegetarian, so it's not intentionally vegan. It's just sort of accidentally vegan, and
Yeah.
it's everybody always says how good it is.
Love it. Amazing. Thank you so much for joining us
Thank you.
today. It's
Thank
been
you for
really
having me.
Yeah,
nice.
it's really good.
We have to come back and talk just about chickens
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
another one. And if people want to find you and your work at Karen's Kind, where can they find you?
We post rescue stories on our website at karenskind.com.
Perfect.
I'll put all the links in the description.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
As always, thank you for joining us, and we hope you enjoyed the episode. Please share it with your friends to help us inspire kindness for animals. You can find us on Instagram and TikTok at animalaid_UK, on Facebook and YouTube at Animalaid, and on Blue Sky at animalaid.org.uk. See you next time.